Some stories are buried in the ground, and others are hidden in the pages of history. I'm Rob Rizzo, the History Digger, and this is the Digging History Show. In each episode, we unearth relics, explore forgotten people and places, and reveal the stories that still echo through time. We also dig into the tools and techniques that help treasure hunters succeed, from research to recovery. Whether it's discoveries beneath our feet or the mysteries history left behind, the past is waiting, and we are here to uncover it. All right, folks, good evening, welcome, and Happy New Year. Happy New Year. I am so glad that you guys could join me tonight, and am really looking forward to talking with all of you. So, I tell you what, I've been kind of thinking that this whole live streaming adventure, it's kind of like metal detecting. The first time you take your metal detector out, I have the utmost confidence that some things are going to go wrong. We're going to have some bumps along the way, but hey, you deal with it, you adapt. That's part of the adventure. But thank you again. I'm Rob Rizzo. I'm going to be your field guide on this expedition this evening. We have a jam-packed show ready for you. I have an incredible guest who I'll bring on in a moment. We're going to go ahead and talk about some fascinating finds. I have a segment where I'm actually going to test some of your knowledge. So if you thought you could just kick back and enjoy this, you might be wrong. We're going to actually put you to work here a little bit this evening. And if you've been following along, I've put a few teasers out there about an episode that I call History Revealed. And I asked a question about, some people call this gentleman the most witnessed man in history. Who might that be? We're going to talk about that on the show, as well as unpack some news and information from XP and our friends from Nocta as well. But why don't we go ahead? We're going to do two things here. I want to go ahead and bring my guest on. I'll do more of a formal intro in a minute, but I'm going to have him come on, and we'll say hello to him. And I want to say hello to those of you that are watching along in the chat. So, if you are not familiar with this gentleman, his name is Tim Blank. There he is, and
Hello.
Tim goes by the moniker Ill Digger. Tim, Happy New Year. Thanks for joining, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing awesome, my friend. Tim is down in Illinois and a little south of me here in Wisconsin. We were talking a little bit before we came on live, and I was complaining that here in Wisconsin we got, I think, yet another 4 inches of snow in the past 24 hours. I've had to snow blow twice. How about you, Tim? What's the weather like?
It's cold still. It was nice. 2 days ago it was 60 degrees. 3 days ago, something like that. And overnight it froze down to the teens, and it's been kind of lingering there. It was, I think, 30 degrees yesterday, I think, for the high. So like, just when the sun was out, you could tell the snow wanted to melt.
Yeah.
But uh, as soon as the sun went back down, it got real cold again. And all day today we haven't had any sun, so it hasn't warmed up. It's been cold. I think it was like 17 degrees earlier when we went to the store. So this is how we're starting
Hey, we got a
the
long
new
way to
year,
go here. It's
26.
only January, my friend. But oh my goodness. Listen, for those people that are joining along, maybe drop a line in the chat. Let us know where you're dialing in from, okay? And maybe a little bit about how you're doing here. I would love to say hello to you. While folks are doing that, Tim, I wanted to just first ask you a quick question before I formally introduce you. But Ill Digger, Ill Digger. We might have some friends from overseas watching this. They not may not be familiar with the abbreviation Ill. Could you tell everybody maybe what that means and how did you come about that handle, that name?
Well, first off, I live in the state of Illinois, so that's part of it. Um, Another part of it is I was just trying to be funny. So how it evolved, you asked. It was for I was asked when I started my YouTube channel actually. Um, I needed something I thought made kind of catchy, kind of whatever. So I thought Illinois. There was a lot of people doing this. They're kind of just doing the state digger thing. Well, I didn't want to do Illinois digger, so I wanted to do. I figured I'll do ill because that was the postal abbreviation for Illinois at one point. So, and then back then, well, DK kind of explained it best one
Yeah.
time. He said it kind of a sign of his generation. So like when I was in high school and stuff, ill meant cool or whatever. So I thought, okay, I'll do ill, and then for Illinois, ill,
Hmm.
as in like the Beastie Boys, license the ill. I figured I just kind of mashed it up that way. I'll just do ill digger,
Love the
and it was
story.
basically for
There's a story behind all these names. I love it. In fact, I actually love, we could do a whole show around some of the unique names people have in the community. It kind of harkens back. Do you remember the days of the citizen band CB radios where everybody had a handle? Okay.
yeah,
It'd be kind of fun to talk about that. But hey, Tim, I wanted to first, if you could bear with me for a minute, I wanted to just do a few housekeeping announcements and comments. So,
sure,
this is the first inaugural episode of the show. For right now, I plan on doing this monthly. You will all help me decide if that remains to be true. But I just wanted to acknowledge and thank a few people who helped get to this point. You might not appreciate how much goes on behind the scenes just to put one of these things together. And I reached out and sought the counsel of several folks, and and several answered the call. I want to thank my buddy Brian White from Southern Relic Adventures. He has a phenomenal live stream on Friday nights. Brian was a huge help, along with his sidekick Michael Cooley. Gary Gross, Double G Diggs, gave me some phenomenal ideas. He is an incredible detectorist and content creator. I wanted to also thank, she happens to be in the chat, Teresa, the treasure hunter. Thank you so much for your help and support. Michael Eakers from XP. Chris Counter, he has an incredible show, The Dig Show, if you have not watched that. And you mentioned DK from Relics Radio. I mean, there are so many other cool shows. We're going to actually talk about one of them because that's how I kind of met you. But Relics Radio, Beyond Sight and Sound, Detect America, uh, Coffee with Liz, Digging Canuck. I
yeah,
have both watched those. I've been on many of those shows, and I really appreciate all of them. They've helped make this community what it is. And I do want to apologize because I am also, some of you may have been conflicted of, do you go to this live stream? I think Quarter Hoarder has one going on at the same time. And I assure you that was not intentional. It's almost like, doing one of these live streams, Tim, it's like putting a satellite up in space. It's getting kind of crowded up there. And I,
yeah.
I actually had to make a scheduling change. So I do apologize if I created a conflict for some of you, but we will figure out the time and so forth going forward. But I wanted to both thank all of those friends and acknowledge them, but also mention them because if things go wrong, Tim, we can blame them.
Sure,
Okay. See how this works, right?
that's right.
So that's kind of my plan. But Tim, let's take a look at the chat and give a shout out to the folks real quick here. And I'm going to probably miss some people here, but maybe you can help me. And I just want to take a minute and acknowledge the folks here that have joined in. Okay.
All right.
All right. So who are you seeing on the chat there, Tim?
Well, I'm looking in two different places right now. I'm looking in
I'll tell you what.
on the computer.
I'll get us started here. We've got Teresa, the treasure hunter, Aggie Hall. Thank you so much for joining Portage Digga. Oh my good. Speak of the man himself, Brian White from Southern Relic Adventures. This chat is fascinating because as I'm reading, more people are commenting and it's moving. So I know I'm gonna miss some folks. Tim, our good buddy, David Rose, Full Metal
Full
Digger.
Metal Digger. I
He
see.
is on
Hello,
here.
Dave.
Dave. Oh,
He's a YouTube
Lucid
legend.
Goose. Lucid Goose. Folks, that happens to be my youngest son. How about that? Thank you, Ryan, for joining.
Hello,
Claudia,
Ryan.
how are you, Claudia? I hope to see you at one of the many events. I think Claudia attends as many events, almost as many as you, maybe. Claudia, Raymond,
Me?
Raymond does a lot too. Who else do we have? Mr. Mark Mack. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you being here. Barb, thank you for joining, Barb. Sorry to hear the news about your family. Um, Dirty Merc Digger, awesome. Digger and I are watching, he said. Thank you so much both for joining tonight. Who am I missing here? Tim,
Kevin Barks Detecting Bits.
Kevin, he puts up some phenomenal content. I enjoy watching his stuff. Thanks, Kevin. I
So do I.
appreciate you. Northern Tier Metal Detecting. Oh my goodness, it's moving so
Bruce.
fast.
Is that the Bruce?
The Bruce. Big shout out to Bruce and my brew crew, Dylan, Bob, Michael, all those guys. Thanks, buddy, guys, for joining. We will come back to the chat. We'll probably put some of your comments up here throughout. But as I said, we've got a jam-packed show, so I would like you to keep commenting. We'll come back to the chat here in a minute. But Tim, I wanted to do something a little different on this show, and I don't know if any of you watch Sean Ryan's podcast, you know, but
I'm not familiar.
Sean, he's an interesting guy. I think he's a former Navy SEAL, and he has some really interesting guests, really interesting topics. But one of the things I appreciate that he does on his show is he takes the time to draft an introduction for each of his guests. Okay, and I wanted to do that for you. So if you bear with me, this is pretty short, folks, but I want to formally introduce my friend Tim Blank, Ill Digger. Tim Blank, also known online as Ill Digger, is one of the most humble yet accomplished detectorists I know. Tim resides in Illinois. However, he has not only been detecting for many years, but has done so all over the world. He is a passionate and versatile detectorist as he's hunted the old home sites on the plains of Illinois, the farms of North Carolina, New York, the gold fields of Alaska, and other magical properties across England and Germany, just to name a few. There are a lot more than that. Tim's interests and finds include native artifacts, relics, medieval coins, Roman rings, and even Celtic gold. I know I had the pleasure of initially meeting Tim at a U.S. dig stock event. If you're not familiar with dig stock, really good events, and have since detected with him multiple times. And I think perhaps Tim's greatest treasure, though, is his kindness. Okay, when Tim heard I landed a pretty cool speaking gig. Oh gosh, it was almost 2 years ago now at the Lincoln Museum down in Springfield, Illinois. He surprised me and drove, I think, like 2 hours to come and attend. So there I am, and speaking, and I look out in the audience. Who do I see? Tim's face smiling back at me. He, and by the way, the Bortners also did that. I mean, you are top shelf, my friend. It was. I really appreciated that. So, you can only have one first guest, and I thought about who I would like that to be. So, Tim, I'm honored and proud that it's you, my friend, Ill Digger. So, Tim, welcome, and thank you for being on the show.
Well, I'm honored to be here. Honored to be the inaugural guest on the first ever History Digger show.
Oh, and you've
That
done
was
you've done several
that
of these
was.
shows. This is
I've
this
been a
is
guest on some podcasts and live streams before. Yeah.
you have.
Not com-
In fact, we'll talk about that because I want to save that story a little bit later. But I happened to hear you, I think, on a Relics radio show. We're going to talk about that.
right. Yeah.
We're going to talk about that.
I know where that's going.
Tim, I got a couple questions for you, and then you're going to move from being my guest to co-host, okay? But keep your
Okay.
guest hat on, will you, for a couple minutes here? But Tim, now think about this before you answer, Tim.
Okay.
Why do you treasure hunt? Why do you metal detect?
Now, why did I do it? Or why did I start it? I don't know why. I started just kind of maybe high expectations, looking for treasure, or can't wait to find a diamond ring or something like that. But anymore, I mean, it's kind of your getaway. It's the time to relax. Um, and I've met so many cool people through this hobby, like you. I've been to England because of a friend. I've been to Germany because of a friend. I've been to North Carolina because of a friend. I've been to Vermont because of a friend. And you look back on all those times, I might be able to tell you what I found on some of those trips, but I can always tell you about something I did with, going out for dinner or a joke someone told me at one of those events or at one of those meetings, when I was invited somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fun just to look back and on the memories and the people I've met, but at the same time, you do find a lot of cool stuff metal detecting too.
Absolutely. But there's, yeah, like you said, the experience itself is kind of a big part of the enjoyment, not just the find, isn't it?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Um, and I know your wife. She plays a role in your detecting, but like, how does she support you? What do you do together? Are there some things you do alone? Does she detect? Tell us a little bit about your better half.
She detects with me occasionally, maybe 2 times a year, if that, maybe 3 times a year. Um, but other than that, she's a homebody. She likes to stay at the house and keep a tidy house, and she also works from home, so she's here a lot, working and just doing home stuff. But she likes to go. She's got friends she goes out with on the weekends or stuff, and they meet up and they go out for snacks and stuff, and go to wineries and have whatever their little spread is. And
Yeah.
but she gets around. She knows everybody in the community, so
It's an interesting
she
thing
works.
because I know like the Bortners absolutely detect together. Phil and Sharon, Mrs. History Digger Amy, she really doesn't metal detect, but she loves to do research for me on the finds and as well as like different properties and stuff. So, and I know there are others where guess what, the spouse doesn't want to have anything to do with it. So it's just kind
Right.
of interesting to see the different variety there. We're going to take a look at some of your finds, but people are going to see, and I mentioned already, you detect all over the place. So, do you have a favorite place? Where do you enjoy detecting like the most, and why?
So around home, I mean, if I'm here in the states, I'm at home. If I'm gonna go out detecting, excuse me, I really like the spring and the fall when the crops aren't in.
Mm,
I like to hunt the farm fields, looking for old home sites, old log cabins, old school sites. Doing the map work's a lot of fun too. It's kind of solving a puzzle. If you can look at an old map or two and kind of, like I said, I do a lot of my detecting primarily in my county. I do live on the edge of my county, so I do bleed over to the north and to the east a little bit. But it's fun to look at an old map and go, wait a minute, there is not a house there. Just to double check, pull up Google Maps. Yeah, no, there's no house there. So there was a log cabin there in 1871 or 1864 or whatever map you're looking at. And that's just fun to progress through the maps. Maybe pull up an 1892 map and say, okay, well, it was gone by 1892, so everything there should be 1892 or older. Hopefully, not always, but that kind of general rule of thumb applies. It's fun for me to do and then it's kind of like when you go out there and you get on the site and you find the iron patch and you start finding items from that home site that you located, you targeted, you found, you got the permission, and now
Right.
you're there and you're actually finding the stuff that you're hoping to find months ago when you actually found it. It's so much fun because you're like, the plan came together. It's working. So, and hopefully no one's beat you to it, or maybe hopefully the place is inhabited for a decent amount of time, but not so long.
Hmm.
It turns into a trashy site where you start finding a lot of aluminum and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
iron's not a bad thing. A lot of iron's a good thing, but when it starts getting into a lot of aluminum trash, then you're like, this kind of sucks. But that's
Yeah.
that's
I
my
mean,
thing. But I like hunting the beaches too. If we
yeah.
travel, and then of course if we go overseas, it depends on where you go. Like hunting the fields of England, where you step out of the van in the morning and it's just which direction should I go?
Magical.
Love that feeling. Here I open my truck door and I get out and it's the same thing. There's 5,000, 500 acres or 1,000 acres,
Hmm.
but only 1 acre holds artifacts, in concentration anyway, that you can kind of grid. In England, the stuff can be anywhere, so just kind of go off like a shotgun in whatever direction you go in and hope for the best. At
But this
least
is
that's the
why
way I
you.
do it.
This is why I find you amazing because you enjoy and find a wide range of artifacts. Relics, coins, medieval, Celtic, Roman, beach, land, park, gold nut. And all over the world. You know, and you devote a lot of time doing that. And I know you mentioned the beach hunting. I know you go in the past. You've gone to some warm places during the winter months as well, and hunt there as well. So and Tim, what are you currently swinging? Which detectors are you swinging?
So currently in the lineup, I still am using the Equinox 800.
Mm-hmm.
I like that one for uh, mainly for water for sure. If I'm going in the water, I mean, I still have my Excalibur too, but I haven't used that thing in years. So if I'm going in the water, I gotta make sure my Equinox is charged. I do have the Deus too. I know it's waterproof, but I don't have the. Um, well, actually, we talked earlier. I think I do actually have the headphones for it. Um, but yeah, I have never rigged it up with the antenna and stuff and took it in the
Sure.
water and actually used my Deus in the water yet. We're actually going on a trip in a few days, and I'll be taking my Equinox with me on this trip. We'll be going to hunt a little tropical area. Going on Punta Cana for the first time. Punta Cana.
Punta
I can't
Cana.
say.
Punta
I keep
Cana.
saying it wrong.
Tim, Teresa's giving you a shout out here, buddy. Um, I don't think we've shared an Airbnb yet,
No, but
probably I'm probably will. But on that topic, we all kind of have like a core group that maybe we share permissions we hunt with, and sometimes those groups overlap. I've hunted with some of your good friends as well. Tell us a little bit about your friends, and because I happen to know one of them is really big on research, but maybe give a shout out to your core detecting buddies.
so as far as detecting friends go, the two of my oldest detecting family, treasure fam, friends are actually in the chat. Um, Dave Rose, who used to go by Daddy Digger, he's a YouTube one of the YouTube originals. He's had a YouTube channel since '08, I think, '09, something like that. And I've had mine since 2010. He had his just a few months before
He
me.
has some incredible finds, incredible finds.
Yeah, he used to park detect with an Ace 250 when I first met him. I met him and Jeff both through online melee detecting forums. Uh, Speaking of my other friend Jeff, he's in the chat too. Melee detecting Wisconsin. those two guys are my two closest melee detecting buddies. I've been to Germany with Dave. I've been to England with Jeff and Dave. Me and Jeff have roomed together around the country. We've been down to North Carolina, dig stock together. Me and Dave, we actually live in the same state. So he lives down by St. Louis. I live kind of up by Rockford or up by right by the Wisconsin border.
Sure.
Um, I don't want to say I'm even close to Chicago because I'm. I don't want to take any credit for that. So me and Dave are about 5 hours apart probably.
Okay.
So over the last 10, 15 years that we've known each other, we've just met in the middle a lot. So we'll drive 2.5, 3.5 hour, 4 hours, and he drives 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours or whatever. Sometimes he drives up here by me. I've yet to actually drive all the way down by his area and detect, but he's been up here for probably half a dozen times or better. But yeah, those are my two of my closest friends. But I've met so many people. Like I see Teresa the Treasure Hunter here in the chat. She mentioned her and I. You had it up on the screen, staying at Airbnb together once. Um, leading just out of the blue, I get a message from Teresa a few weeks before Digstock, and I hadn't even had my hotel room booked yet.
Right.
And she sends me a message. She says, "Where are you staying?" And I was like, I don't know. Probably at that Quality Inn, wherever was on that list. I don't know. I haven't really looked into it yet. She goes, "We have an extra room in our Airbnb. Once you come stay with us, it's right on Lake Champlain. And if you stay with me, it just you know lessens everyone's cost. It
Yeah.
just help pay. So
Sure.
a couple $100 or whatever for the weekend for dig stock for room and board." I was like, absolutely. So I get there. Not only do I get a room, I think I got the best room in the house. Up second story, looking out the front window is Lake Champlain. So I woke
Oh
up
my gosh.
each morning looking at the sunrise facing east,
Yeah.
watching the sun
Yeah.
coming up over the Green Mountains over Lake Champlain. It was so
Isn't
beautiful.
it
So
true that
thanks,
like
Teresa, for that.
sometimes the vistas, the things that we see are like almost as exciting as the finds? I
Yeah.
mean, almost, almost. But hey, speaking of finds, let's do this. I'm going to pull up some of yours, and I
Okay.
want you to just maybe tell us about a few. I went out on some of your social media, and I grabbed. There's so many, so many. I grabbed some that were I thought were kind of interesting. Okay, and let's see if technology here works on this. I think it is.
Oh yeah.
Let me try to maximize this if we can do that.
Yeah, that was a
Okay.
recent ring finders call I got.
So you're part of the Ring Finders network, right?
Yep.
You
Yep.
get many calls for that, Tim?
It fluctuates. I can go 9 months and not hear a word, and then get three in the same week.
Mm-hmm.
It's so weird. Matter of fact, uh, how many have I had this past? Actually, this year's probably been the busiest I've ever been through the ring finders. I've probably had a dozen call outs this year. So I had a few in the spring, and then it was pretty quiet all summer. I did think I did one in the summer. I did a couple in the
Mm-hmm.
summer actually.
If folks are not
One
familiar
was
with
a
Ring Finders, I think a guy up in Canada runs it, but you pay for the privilege to be on it, and it's almost like there's certain regions and territories, and I looked at it. Some of them in Wisconsin are already taken. You could still be on there. Some people charge. You pay a fee to be on this, and you charge if somebody calls you, or you can do it for free. That's up to you, but people can check that out. Tim, this was an interesting one. Tell us about this one.
So that's a cufflink. It's half of a. It's actually the spring mechanism in the back is broken. So I'm assuming that's how it was lost. Just got the letter C on it, so it's probably someone's initial, or maybe it's a horseshoe or whatever it is. I think it's a letter C. But when I dug it up, matter of fact, I dug that in Wisconsin with on a permission of
Mm-hmm.
Jeff's. Matter of fact, you've been to that permission. Um, and when I noticed it, it's kind of got that greenish color that you see like in uranium glass. So I was kind of curious when I got home. I was like, I wonder if it is. So I had a black light out in the garage. So I went out, took it out in the garage, and I was like, ooh, it does light up.
Wow.
Cool.
How about that?
Snap.
How
Yep.
about that? I think you mentioned somewhere this was like your third buckle.
That was that was my third plate. Yeah.
Wow.
Officer Sword Belt Plate, model 1851. So that'd be the plate that the officers would have wore in the Civil War. Uh, Jeff was so close to that thing at one time.
Yeah, that's the way it always is. And where did you dig this?
This one here, I dug it up right here in Illinois,
Wow.
one county over from me, and
Amazing.
so I knew uh, the landowner. That's a farm field there. He told
Hmm.
me at one time that there was a log cabin sitting on top of his grandfather told me there was a log cabin sitting on top of this hill. So I took Jeff out there. The first time I'd ever been into this field detecting it. And so we park our trucks in the ditch and we turn the machines on. And as soon as we hit the field, we hit the iron patch.
Hmm.
So I told Jeff, we kind of looked at each other. He goes, I'm getting iron. I said, so am I. I said, I'm getting a lot of iron. He goes, so am I. And all of a sudden I dig up like a suspender clip or a harmonica reed or something like that. I'm like, oh man. I said,
Right.
this is kind of giving us all the telltale signs. We're already on it.
Wow.
We haven't even, we're not even close to that
Yeah.
hilltop over there.
Yeah.
So I didn't even head that way, but after probably 2.5 hours or so, I look up and Jeff's almost to that hilltop. And I had told him about the story that the landlord told me. And he kind of got out there and he made some loops. The next thing he comes back, and I said, Did you find anything out there?" He's like, "No." Eventually, I went back out there a few weeks later, and I found that out there on
You
top of
did.
that hill. He,
My
if he had
goodness.
walked like another, if
How
he walked
many?
another 15, 20
Yep.
yards, he would have found that iron
Yep. How many
patch.
of us would have a heart attack, or if you just zigged and zagged? This is on my list. Finding one of these. I just learned the other day. There's actually three designs of a trime out
Yep,
there. Um,
yep.
have
This is
that's
the
on my
first.
bucket list. That's on. Hey, you know what else I appreciate about you, my friend, is you also have a good sense of humor and you share a fair amount of memes. And this one gave me a chuckle. It gave me a chuckle. But
That's right.
anyway, and as I mentioned, you like artifacts as well too. Where was this
That
found?
that was a North Carolina point like yours. It's got that white quartz just like yours. Yeah, that was permission Jeff had got for us in North Carolina of all
Awesome.
places.
I've only found
Or dig
one,
sock.
and you were there when I found mine.
Yeah, yours
Pretty.
is way prettier than this one is, but it's. I was walking up. I mean, that thing stuck out like a sore thumb. It was just a white triangle laying right
Yeah.
flat on the surface. I was like, that's a point.
Okay, we always ask people too, like, how do you display your finds? And some people have some really cool rooms, cases. I put mine in books. You and Dave Rose have a pretty cool way of displaying your finds, and I'm gonna show it here. I think this is coming up next, right? Tell us about these.
So these are tattoos. These are coins that I found in England. What I detected in England. The one on well, the my right, which would be the Celtic gold coin with the horse on it.
Hmm.
That's a 50 BC. Um, what is that? It's a
We're talking,
Harlow flyer.
right?
And then I actually have the reverse of that coin on the other side of my arm. So, and then the coin on the left hand side is a King John, a hammered silver
Hmm.
coin, voided short cross, year 1199 to 1216 on that coin. So yeah, those are on here forever.
Pretty cool, my friend. I think that a Celtic stater with these beautiful ponies is it's absolutely on my bucket list. I'm so hoping I find one of these. They're I just think they're
They're
absolutely
so
incredible.
tiny. They're so tiny.
Well, let me tell this quick story. So a couple years ago, I'm listening to a live stream. It was Relic Radio, and Tim is on there talking about this trip overseas metal detecting. Didn't know you could do that. People did that. And Tim is talking about this incredible find that he had. And I think two slides we're going to see it. But what I'm getting ahead of myself. What I'm going to show next, I think, is actually something you found up in Alaska with Mr. Smalley,
Correct.
Chuck
That's
Smalley.
correct. That's correct.
How many
And
ounces was
actually,
that?
that wasn't even an ounce. It was
Okay.
so 0.89 troy ounces. So it was tenth shy of being an ounce, a troy ounce. Standard ounce it was 0.98. So it's
Oh my
just like
goodness.
200ths of being shy of one
Chuck
standard
Chuck
ounce.
puts together some incredible Alaska trips, and you don't just dirt fish; you actually get to fish. I understand on these things. I hope to do it someday. But the story I was getting to. I'm sorry. I apologize. I got ahead of myself. Tim is talking on Relics Radio about this incredible find right here, and I'll let him kind of give you an overview here of it. But I called him up like 2 days later, and I was like, Tim, tell me everything about these trips. And do you know, about 18 months later, after I was benefited from all his insight and knowledge, I found myself over there, and Mr. Tim Rushing was my guide, along with Chicago Ron. We pulled up to a field. We're in the van, and as he pulls the van over, he parks it and he says, "Now, ladies and gentlemen, this field that we're going to detect on this morning is metal detecting hallowed ground." You understand there's like 100 fields they could have taken us to. He said, "This one here, though, there was a hoard found a couple years ago, and this is the field where Tim Blank found his Celtic gold ingot. And I got to hunt there, and you know what? I found my first hammered gold coin there, thanks to you, my friend." And who was the first person I called, Tim?
Yeah. I
I
remember
called
getting the
Tim
message.
from
Yep.
the field. But Tim, tell us a little bit about this. Do you have this? It's an incredible find.
So after 6 years, I actually 7 years. After 7 years, I actually finally got it back. Yes. So that is what the British Museum has uh, labeled a late Roman, early medieval uh, pure gold ingot. It weighs basically 3 ounces. Basically, it's like
Wow.
2.9,
Wow.
2.85 or something like that. So right around 3 ounces, and they're saying it's late Roman, early medieval. So in all of our researches since finding that thing, I've had a lot of help too. Um, a lot of the records show that the Vikings used the ingot in their currency and their trading a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So gold in the ingot form was a big thing with the Vikings. And so if you look up Viking ingots on the database, a lot of them look like that,
Wow.
like they were maybe not that exact shape, but it
Yeah.
looks like they were cast in that same format with
Oh
maybe
my
in a sand
goodness.
mold, kind of crude looking. Maybe it looks like a worm. That one
Right.
kind of looks like a spoon
Right.
bowl.
Right.
So I think it's Viking,
Tim,
but
we could have I'm kidding. We could have taken all 60 minutes and just gone through your finds here. Folks,
I
if
know.
give it mention your social media channels if folks want to kind of see more about your finds and stuff. Where can they see them and find you?
So Bill Digger on YouTube and Instagram. I'm not on Facebook or TikTok. People say I should get on TikTok and Facebook, but I haven't yet. But if you want to find me and follow me and subscribe to me, I appreciate it. And this is where you'd find me, Bill Digger.
Il Digger. Il Digger. All right, we're going to talk more about finds here a little bit, but we're going to switch gears here, Tim, for a minute, and we're going to kind of move to another segment. I told these folks that I'm going to make them think a little bit and put them to work, and I'm going to introduce this segment. Um, we call we call it Unearth the Answer. Unearth the Answer, and let's go ahead and start that. And folks, you can kind of follow along. All right, here we go. Question for you all. This is a bit of a riddle here. I choose how wide your song will spread, from tiny gold to iron dread. High for small, low for deep. I guard the targets, shadows keep. I'm gonna pause it here. This is I didn't, I'm being kind here, folks. Okay, I'm giving you a multiple choice quiz. It's one of these four answers. Okay, and if you would like to follow along on the chat, go ahead and type in one of four things: A, B, C, or D. Go ahead and lock in your answers. Let's see how many of you correctly unearthed the answer. Okay, Tim, do you think we've given them enough time?
It looks like it.
I
People
think
are
so.
firing away. So.
I think so. Let's see what the answer is. It is indeed frequency. Frequency. How many folks got it right there, Tim? I think we got a few.
Uh, yeah, there's a fair amount with the same answers, a
Got a few.
handful with one
Had a few
other.
that maybe we fold. Tim, when you detect, you have a variety of settings, functions on the machine. How often do you mess with frequency? Do you solely hunt in multi-frequency? Do you occasionally, jump down to mono? Just give me your thoughts on frequency.
Um, so with these simultaneous multi-frequency machines, that's kind of why you're buying them, right? So
Yeah.
I like to try and run them in that at all, as long as everything's fine. But I've learned that that's not the silver bullet for everything. There's a lot of times that you just got too much EMI, or you're near another detectorist, or whatever reason that thing just won't shut up. You can turn the sensitivity down, ground balance, noise cancel, do whatever frequency shift, whatever you want to that machine, whatever it will do, it doesn't solve the problem. Turn it off the simultaneous multi-frequency. Pick a single frequency. Pick something in the middle. If you're afraid, I don't want to miss the silver. Oh, I don't want to miss the gold. So don't pick
Mm-hmm.
40, or don't pick 4. Pick 12 or 15, whatever your machine has there. It's kind of a middle range frequency, and just go with that.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I do.
I'm not, like, no judgment here. I think some people just, quite frankly, they want to turn on their machines and go. But I would
I
encourage
do.
people to, you want to adapt a little bit. And if, you know, as you said, there's some obvious reasons. If you're in an area where there's a lot of electromagnetic interference, hop on down to a mono single frequency. Or if you are, if you're hunting for silver, okay, the lower frequencies sometimes will do a better job. They'll punch down deeper. They react similarly. Small gold items, high frequencies, but don't be afraid to, don't assume, multi-frequency is the, end all, best all thing all the time. A lot of times it's great, but I think, occasionally, I remember the days back when we used to actually have to sit in front of our TV and dial in that picture. I sometimes think
Mm-hmm.
frequency can help with that too, but
Yep.
that's, yeah.
So yeah, when I went to Alaska, a lot of us had equinoxes. There was a couple daises out there. A Deus one, I think there was one Deus two. There was a couple gold monsters. But when I went up there, first thing I did was went right to 40 kilohertz and went to the prospecting mode, and then just basically maxed out the sensitivity. I think I was one notch off full, um, and it was nice and quiet, ran stable. Found out Equinox likes hot rocks up in Alaska, at least around Nome, anyways. I've never really found a hot rock around here. Maybe one or two pieces of coke, and that's about it. But
Oh,
never.
right. Interesting, interesting. Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, we'll talk more. We're going to include a lot of tips and techniques and advice, that hopefully some of you can benefit from. We're going to also talk about some news, and we have um, we have another segment here. We're going to go ahead and introduce here, and we'll go ahead and talk more about that after the intro here. Here we go. Okay, Tim, there's been some news in the industry lately, specifically around some new headphones. XP's announced the launch of a line of stereo ready headphones. And there's also news from Nocta. How about we start with XP? And maybe some folks are already aware of this. Maybe you'll learn something, or you could share what you know. But I'd like to kind of introduce a little bit of what I'm talking about here. Again, let me go ahead and share my screen. If you guys are not familiar with this, what I'm talking about here is, just a moment here, let's get this open.
Yeah, I heard about the new headphones. The funny thing is just before we went to England, I bought a brand new set of
Of course.
XP headphones.
Yeah, of course, of course. So um, this is interesting because XP they're kind of teasing us. They've announced these things. It's a full line. I'll show you a picture here in a moment of headphones. So the back phones, over the ear, the WS6. And of course, they're talking about them being stereo ready, but we really don't know what they're going to do, what the benefit is yet. And they have shared with us too that this will work with your current hardware. I'm going to actually skip the video and just see. Well, I guess not. We'll show this here. It's real short. Okay, feel the
Did you?
stereo
There's
difference, and
Was
you
there
can
supposed to be
see.
sound with that, Rob?
Yeah, there was. I think we had some issues with the sound on one of the tests, so that's okay. You might not have heard it, but just some nice jazzy music. And um, here are the illustrations, what we're talking about. So the current line of headphones, there's three of them. You can see these. And what I've done here, I've listed the prices, at least in this case, in dollars and in pounds. And the least expensive is called the WSAST over here. I actually have a set of these that XP sent to me and that I'll be testing. However, I do not have the software. The software version 4.0 has not been released yet. But these headphones are going to be interesting, and there's a few folks that in addition to myself, they have some questions. And people are asking, what's the point? Okay. The current headphones work fine. Yes, they are mono. Just because you can hear them in a left ear and a right ear does not mean they're high definition, they're not stereo. Okay.
Right.
But a big question is, will this help us, you know, discriminate more? Should I or should I not dig something? Are there going to be some other features in the software, the 4.0, that will be required to run these things? Some new functionality in the software as well. But if you are a current user of the DS2, these will work with your DS2. It just requires a software update. And my understanding is if you purchase a new DS2 at some point when the stock runs out, this will be the new headphones that come with the machine. Okay, so as I said, I will be testing these, but I don't know, Tim. What do you think? What's your initial reaction? And folks in the chat, what do you think?
My initial reaction is that function's not gonna sway me to buy a set. Like I said, I just recently had uh, my oh, what's the name of that company that makes those
The Gray Ghost?
headphones? No,
Quest.
the Quest phones. Yeah, those finally went south on me. So if I would have had the option right now, after those are on the market, yeah, those exact same ones I had, they still work. I just one of the there's that wire that goes over it comes into the thing. I can wiggle it and it just crackles. So
I
it
gotcha.
just needs to be rewired.
So this
But
is one of the options. I use these myself. I actually have a new set of these, but one interesting thing, you see there's two metal connections on the back. Um, the headphones, the stereo headphones, there's actually three. I don't know if we can see that or not. There's three metal
we'll
things on here. It might
fuzz
not
them.
be not focusing, but
There it goes.
point is, yeah, these will not work with the Quest, or my understanding is the Gray Ghost headphones. Yeah, so that's interesting. So if you want to take advantage of it, you're going to probably have to buy one of the XP stock headphones, right?
Yeah. So and as you know, I I had to call you when I got those things. They must have had the 2.0 or 3.0 software in them, and they wouldn't sync up with mine because I still had the point 0.6 whatever it was,
Right.
and then found out that I can update and backdate the software on both headphones and the XP. So that's what I did. I actually updated my machine, and as you know, it was driving me crazy for 4 days. I tried everything under the sun with that thing, and eventually I backdated the machine back to zero point 0.6 and then backdated the headphones to the same software, and I'm
It took
back.
care of it. I mean, it's cool
Yeah.
that XP gives you that ability.
Oh,
It
totally.
remains to be seen if there's more if there's more functionality beyond the headphones in 4.0. We don't know. I know Brian White's also going to be testing these things. There's a few of us out there that will be testing these, but if you want to use the new headphones and take advantage of the stereo functionality, you need 4.0. They will run, these new headphones will run on the older software. It's just, they're not going to be in stereo. They're going to sound like your
Right.
existing headphones. Okay. So
Yes.
it will be interesting. I will say I'm a bit disappointed that XP did not meet their target release date of that software. I get it. Stuff happens, but we were kind of told a December date, and here we are. It's
It's
January.
January.
It's January, and I'm sad to say there seems to be a theme going on with a lot of these manufacturers over promising, under delivering.
Was just gonna say it's starting to become the norm. It seems like they'll give you a release.
It does. It does.
It's not, they don't give you the actual date, but they usually give you like a month or a time frame of the year, but they're not even close anymore.
No, I think they're better off. I don't know, holding that closer to their vest. I don't know. Let's switch gears. Let's move to Nocta, but folks, pay attention to the XP site, of course. Southern Relic Adventures is all over this. I'll be testing these. We'll know more soon about these, and whether or not, the nice thing is you have a choice. You have a choice whether or not this incremental, the incremental features, the functionality on the headphones, and maybe something else, maybe it's worth it. If that WS6, the middle one, don't forget, that's a second detector that can function as a backup. So if you were maybe in the market for a backup detector, you pick up a WS6 ST, right? That can operate as both headphones, but it's pretty much a full remote as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there, Tim. Okay, let's take a look at Nocta. You know what's going on with Nocta, right? What have they
The new
recently?
Legend 2?
The Legend 2. Did you have any experience with the Legend 1, Tim?
No, none.
I did
No,
not
never
myself.
played with
You
that one. Actually played with a Simplex Plus once, but that was
know,
just I actually bought those as a gift for somebody, and I had to help them get started. And if I had to help someone again, I would have to go back to YouTube and try and figure it out again. But it was pretty simple. But and from what I heard, the jump from the Simplex to the Legend was pretty simple for the Nocta users. It sounded like to me. Um, so I don't think it would have been that hard. But now I hear they
well,
got the Legend 2 out now.
the Legend 2, you know, and
It's coming out.
full disclosure, I did not swing the Legend one. I paid close attention to its launch. It did seem, you know, to Noctis' credit, they stuck with it. They fixed many things, but boy, there were a lot of updates to the machine, you know, and but here they are. They've launched another one, and I really, this is opinion, of course, but I think they're knocking on the door of, you know, trying to become one of the three top tier detecting groups out there. Certainly, they sell a lot of mid to lower tier items. They would argue the Legend is a, you know, just as good as some of the other machines, but this Legend 2, they have made some, I think, some significant improvements. We'll talk about what they are. But one of the first things I wanted to share, take a look at the pricing. I just went out and just grabbed some prices off of, I think this is LP Metal Detecting, their dealer over in the UK.
Yeah.
I grabbed a price from, I think, Detector Warehouse over here on the left. Um, and if you looked at some of the pricing on the XP, you can kind of see the pricing. But boy, I'll tell you, they are going after the U.S. market. That's a pretty good price in the U.S. compared to what they're charging overseas. Oh, you know, I did my you know, if my math is correct, I mean,
It, yeah.
$999 is equivalent to like 742 pounds. So
Yeah. Nine
comparatively
ninety nine.
speaking, that's a good price in the U.S. Um, here
And
are
compared to
some.
their competition, their high end machines are $500 more than that,
Well, and interestingly, you know,
at
rumor on the
least.
street, I have some friends who know dealers and stuff like that. I believe Manticore is taking a pretty significant, it's been on discount. They're taking a big price increase here this year. Okay.
Hmm.
So, yeah, it will be really interesting to see. But putting price aside for a moment, this is what caught my attention. I just grabbed some screen captures. They've added, I mean, it's a much longer screen, and this is a point of contention for me, being somebody in my, you know, 60s. I need reading glasses. I really appreciate the small, lightweight XP machine, but guess what? You know, that lightweight comes at a price of screen size.
Yep, sure does.
And it's hard to see any information for me. You know, it's hard for me without my reading glasses, but I appreciate how some of these other manufacturers have that larger screen. So that's kind of cool. They've added a backlight feature as well. The target ID, it's like, duh, why didn't somebody think about that? It actually shows while you're in pinpoint mode, right?
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yep.
They have expanded the number of like user slots. I do wish they would have come out with more than just this, you know, one, two, three, four, five stock programs, right?
How many can you put your own program in there and save it? Is there room for custom programs?
Yeah, I mean, I think as far as that goes, I think they have something like, I thought I just saw it on here. Yeah, there's multiple user profiles um, that you can save. But as far as like out of the gate, you know, I appreciate the DS2 has, I think, something like 11 or 12 of those. This is
Okay.
cool too. They've entered into the bone conductive headphone world.
Yep.
And it's interesting on some of their things. You'll see them say more power, right? More power, lighter, smarter, right? More power. I think the more power, what they're talking about, the battery's more efficient and it has a much longer run time. Okay. MindLab kind of
That's
stepped into the
Legend
more
2.
power thing with their Manicore and more power into the ground. Do you remember that? All that.
Yeah.
discussion around
More
that.
power, more power. Yeah.
Yeah, but
One thing I seen that they're coming out with four coils for it right off the bat.
no kidding. I know
And
it
I was,
ships with two coils, which is itself is interesting and it is a value in its own
that's
right.
great. Yeah,
I was talking to one of their reps the other day, and they said, they are kind of limiting. Like they used to have a lot of these pro packs and bundles, and it's going to be a little simpler, I think, what they're going to offer, but still a really good deal. And let's point
yeah,
out one other thing. This is kind of cool. The way you update this machine, um, I know a lot of people struggle with the updates. Okay, plugging it in, is it the right cable? It won't work. Their update procedure is wireless.
yeah.
I
That's
mean,
awesome.
think about that. So just like, I don't really even worry about my phone updating. It's wireless and it just does it. So this will be interesting to see and watch. Now, here's some of the things they talk about. I'm real interested in the tones because I do think right now I've seen people swing a Legend. I've heard it, the Legend 1. The audio, the tones are not to me as informative as some of the competitors. It's my opinion. Okay.
I
What will their
I
audio
agree.
sound like? I don't know.
Be honest with you, I'm not a super big fan. I mean, I ran whites for probably the first 2 years of detecting,
Sure.
and I jumped over to Mind Lab, and that was I was willing to try it and heard enough, watched enough videos, and so I got used to it. And I ran Mind Lab for years and years and years, and when XP came out with this with the Deus, I started hearing it. I never really liked it. That's
Mm-hmm.
why one reason why I never bought a Deus one. And the only Jeff actually talked me into giving the Deus 2 a shot. And I told him, I said I didn't even want to try it because of the audio. He goes, "There's actually an audio setting in there that you will probably like. It's semi close to a. You can kind of get the close to sound like
Well,
a
I
Mind Lab." He said, and that was the sensitive full tones.
I think a lot of these manufacturers have wisened up to the fact that it's a really important thing for some people. A certain audio sounds like fingers on a chalkboard, so they've given us options. Some of them have,
Right?
so we'll
Yeah.
see if they counter. But now here's the other interesting thing. So that's all about
So
the product.
that's all about the product.
Whoop, I'm getting a bit of an
Hope I'm
echo
getting a
here.
bit of an echo here.
Let me see if I can turn
Let me
on
see if
the
I can turn on the
echo here for you
echo
there,
here
Tim.
for you there, Tim.
Oh, let's see if that
Let's see if
disappears.
that disappears. My
Oh, your
headphones just died.
headphones came
Headphones
off. Okay,
came
I'm
off.
gonna go
Okay,
ahead
I'm
and
gonna.
mute you there for a minute. Um, they announced this 3 months ago, and what was it, a week ago, 2 weeks ago? They came out and announced there's a hardware issue with the coils. So they did the right thing. The folks that were testing this, have returned their coils back to Turkey, and this will delay the launch. How much of a delay? Don't know. I'll just say kudos to Nocta for they're doing the right thing. But what I also really want to point out is they did a really good job, I think, of communicating right away. They didn't really promise a date these would be available, but they did announce it 3 months ago. Okay. So this will be interesting to see. Um, Tim, I'm going to keep you on mute for a minute and see if you can get those headphones fixed. I don't know if you have another pair or not. We'll try it here again. Let's see if
Let's
that
see
took.
if that took.
Nope. I'm
Nope.
sorry.
I'm sorry.
Still hearing
Still
it.
hearing it.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to put you
I'm
on
gonna put
mute
you
while
on
you
mute
see
while
if you
you
can
see
get
if you
those
can get
taken
those
care
taken
of.
care
But
of. But
folks, we're going to go ahead and again move to our last segment. So one other quick tidbit, and this actually comes from our good friend here, Mason Merck. There's a new movie coming out for you history buffs out there. I think I'm not 100% sure. I think this is on Angel Studio, but this is going to talk about a young George Washington. And Mason, thanks to your post, you brought this to my attention, and this is absolutely going to be one that I'm going to watch. Um, so that's a little bit about the news in the metal detecting world here. We'll see what happens with these different headphones, but and the legend as well. But Tim, I put a teaser out there, and I said to folks, there's a person that some people call the most witnessed man in history. Okay, and a few of you took a stab at trying to figure out who that was. Okay, and what I want to go ahead and do right now is I'm going to reveal that, but this is going to be part of an ongoing segment that we call History Revealed. We'll have these. They won't be in every show, but this is what it's gonna. This is what they're gonna focus on. Okay, so if you have been following along, if you have a guess, if you have an idea as to who that might be, uh, go ahead and pop it into the chat. We'll see if any of you figured out who this is. I'm going to go ahead and reveal the answer here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. This is a short video, and Tim and I will come back after this video and we'll see if any of you got it right, okay? Here we go. Some say, the most witnessed man in history. Bring it up here. Bear with me. Okay, folks, I understand we've had our first technical glitch. There is no audio with this video that I went to great pains to produce, but that's okay. That's okay. I'll be posting the video, and what I'm going to do is share with you the answer. So thank you for bearing with me. There's still 42 of you kind souls watching along out there. Um, the most witnessed man in history. This is an individual. I'll tell you the quick story. And again, I'm going to encourage you to, I'll post a link on my social media to watch the video with audio that goes along. But this individual, when he was a young boy, attended a dinner that was also attended by one of the Bonapartes, the nephew of Napoleon Bonaparte. He was present at Appomattox when General Robert E. Lee surrendered to Ulysses S. Grant. He also happened to be present when Abraham Lincoln died. He was in the location also later when President Garfield was assassinated. This gentleman was actually appointed to President Garfield's cabinet as his Secretary of War. And as fate would have it, once again, after President William McKinley was elected, this gentleman was in the same area, the same vicinity when, yet again, another president was assassinated. And you might think that fate was playing some cruel twist, on this gentleman, but fate also had some interesting kindness at play here too, because when this individual was a young adult, he found himself on this train platform. He was traveling back home and he was leaning up against a train that suddenly moved, and he actually fell off of the platform into the well. And the spectators nearby, their account said surely he would have at least been severely injured, most likely killed, had not two gentlemen grabbed him by the coat collar and pulled him up onto the train platform and saved his life. And one of those gentlemen had the name of Edwin Booth. He was the brother of John Wilkes Booth. Okay. And that story, by the way, is documented in this individual's own hand. He wrote a letter about that. And who was this individual? He was present. 3 presidents died. He attended, these dinners of these dignitaries. He was saved, And I'll say one last thing. He was also present when they dedicated the Lincoln Memorial, and President Harding was there at the dedication. Some of the photos you'll see of him as an old man. Well, it was none other than Robert Todd Lincoln, the son of Abraham Lincoln. And so that's why people will call him either a reluctant witness to history. There's a book of that title, Reluctant Witness to History, or the most witnessed man in history. So I apologize that the tech didn't work out. That's okay though, right? We're used to that kind of stuff. We'll get that figured out. But I think when I first shared that with you, Tim, you didn't know the answer to that. I want to pop your audio.
Is that my working now?
I think so.
Is it
No, I
echo?
still hear a bit of an echo. That's okay, Tim. Well, folks, that's okay, because I think that's a good indication that we're probably at a time here to wrap this up. I'm going to ask you to do one last thing. Again, if you have some suggestions beyond getting the audio fixed, please pop them into the chat. I so appreciate all of you coming. Hit the like button if you're so inclined. That'll help others find this live stream. And Tim, I'm sorry you can't talk here without having an echo, but thank you so much for being the guest on my first episode here of the Digging History show. And folks, that's a wrap. I wish all of you great success in 2026. May you have nothing but high tones and happy digging. Okay. Thanks again for stopping along. Look for the replay. There will be a replay posted on here with audio working on the YouTube channel. All right. So that's it for now. I'm going to go ahead and sign us off. Tim, thank you, my friend. Appreciate you. And folks, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you on the